Yeah, it says recording in progress.
Okay. All right, guys. So I'm so sorry for the two videos from last week. Um, I got a report that some of the key points um, were not in the recording. So I'm just gonna make this recording really quick to just go over some of the things that we have discussed so far. So I'm gonna start with where we started. Um, I don't know how much was not there, but I'm just gonna review real quick. So far, I did talk about the classroom here. I went over this one, so you will see um, if you are in the class, you should have received an invitation in your email. Um, so you should have received an invitation, and you should have for this classroom, this Google Classroom. So these are the courses that we are offering. And then this AWS, if you click on each one, you'll be able to have access to the materials. So I'm not going to go too much into this because we already discussed these things. So I just want to be really quick with this. But you will see all these materials here. So the classroom and everything else. So one of the things, let me see. Just want to go over the slide that we covered. Okay, so this is a different one. All right, guys. So we did talk about cloud computing. I'm just doing a very high level overview of what we've discussed so far. We talk about what cloud computing is. We say is a practice of using network of remote servers hosted on the internet. Um, and basically, those servers you can store, you can manage them, you can process data, um, but they are located on the cloud or in the cloud, if you may say. They are internet-based, which means you access them via the internet. And then we look at the different type of cloud computing. We talk about private cloud, and then we talk about public cloud. So the private cloud is the individual, you have access, or maybe the organization. And then we talk about the public cloud, which is owned by the public cloud. Most is owned by the cloud providers like AWS, Google, Amazon, of course, Amazon, GCP. You know, there are a lot of cloud providers. So as a public cloud, it's accessible to everybody as long as you sign up for their services, and they will give you the services. When you sign up for the cloud provider have the public cloud, but when you sign up, then they give you a dedicated like a slice of their cloud. Like AWS will give you like you have a VPC, so that will be a private cloud because you do it in the VPC, you can provision resources within that VPC. So that's considered to be a private cloud. That's why it's called VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Anyway, so the other one we have is hybrid model. So the hybrid is just like sometimes like some organizations, like large organizations who have applications that are running in the physical building, like we call it on-prem. And then they have like other computing resources like storage, especially like for backups or disaster recovery that resides in the cloud. Um, so that kind of architecture is called hybrid. So again, we have private, public, and hybrid. So these are the things that so under public, they talk about scalability, we talk about reliability, we talk about it is expensive, um, and then the location dependent. And then under private, again, the same thing, scalability, security, flexibility, greater control. So under private, you have greater control, you the end user or you the customer. what the greater control in the sense here is you manage the resources there. You provision your resources. So you have control over what resources are going to be there, how you're going to use them, what you're going to use them for. It is really up to you. Whereas the public cloud here is being provided by the cloud providers. So they basically, you are renting the service from them. You do not own those services. Like Amazon, when you sign up an account, AWS has already these resources that are there. You just have to use them, and then you pay according to how you use them, how you provision them. Hybrid, again, it is highly scalable, it is secure, flexible, and cost effective. So these are just some of the benefits of cloud computing, which we already talk about efficiency. Sometimes you ask the questions, or maybe in an exam, since this class is really to help folks with cloud computing, for them to be able to like go get the licenses or maybe certifications. So it's important to remember the benefits of cloud computing. And one of those benefits is like really it is highly efficient. Again, you will save money. It's cost efficient. It's flexible. It's innovative. You can create a lot of different new things there, applications. It provides a lot of opportunities for small businesses and large organizations and governments. And then it's highly accessible because, of course, it's in a cloud. Another concept to understand about cloud computing is the idea of the notion of the service model. So what that means is like how are they delivered, how these things are going to be delivered, right? What kind of services do they provide? So we have three. There are other types, but we have three main ones. So one of them is, we call it software as service. And then you have platform as service, and then you have infrastructure as service. So platform as service, so I have another document here I'm gonna go over here. So you look at the IaaS, which is the infrastructure as service, is wherein you host the resources. So the underlying infrastructure is already provided for you. So for example, Amazon Web Services will provide you with a platform, with the infrastructure. All you, the end users, you need to do is to host your application. So you don't have to worry about what is under the hood. You don't have to worry about like what kind of servers is my EC2 running on. Because the EC2s, when we create, those EC2s are being run on a server, but you don't know that they run on the server. Or maybe the storage that you request for, maybe the Lambda functions that you are doing. These are all managed services. Some of these applications are being managed by the cloud providers. You have no idea what happens under the hood. And so you are only concerned about like hosting your application. So you are responsible for like the code that you're going to use to host the applications. And then you have PaaS, which is platform as service. So Amazon is an example. I'm really making reference a lot to Amazon Web Services because that is what I'm really, that's my area. That's what this class is designed for. But Amazon, so under platform as service, you build. You are not hosting, you are building your own application. So for example, Amazon will provide, we're going to see like when you sign up, for example, I have my AWS account here, right? This is the AWS account. Now, under this AWS account, see how many services that I can access here. So if I click here, you have all the services that Amazon have put at your disposal for you to use, like S3, CloudFront, API Gateway, Console Home, Code Pipeline, Elastic Beanstalk. So many and many of them, security and all of those security applications, database applications, migration. How do you migrate your application? So all that is being provided for you here with Amazon Web Services. Other cloud provider also will do the same thing. Also, they'll give you services like Google GCP. Will do the same thing. They have services that are already there, and you sign up for their service or their platform, and then you have access to their services. Now, the beauty about cloud computing is they have what they call pay as you go. So which means if I create an EC2 instance, they are going to charge me based on the amount of instances I have, the storage that I'm using. If I'm not using anything, I have this account, I'm not using anything, they are not going to charge me anything. So they only charge me, it's not like every month just because I sign up for the accounts now, they are going to be charging me. That's not how it works. It's pay as you go. That's the model they are using. So which means they only charge you for what you use. Anyway, so Amazon is a platform. So what you are seeing right now, this is an example of a platform. The other thing you also for Google, so the place I'm hosting this website, let me just duplicate this screen. So I'm hosting the classroom is being hosted on with Google. So if you go to your Google email, you will also see that if you go to the three dots here, you have all the services that Google provide for you. And majority of these services are free services actually. So these are all platform as service. So this resource that I have here, so this is where the classroom, the course materials are being hosted. I don't know what is happening on the back end here. I don't care about what happens on the back end. Google is doing all that for me, and it's providing these services. This is actually free of cost, So this is an example of a platform as a service. Amazon is a platform as a service. So again, that's PaaS, and then when we talk about SaaS, which is software as a service, under software as a service, you consume the resources. So the resources are already created for you. They are already there. They are at your disposal. So you just go and use them, right? So if you're under this, again, these materials are all available to you as long as you are in the class. So you can take a look at these ones. Like I said, this is going to be just a quick video, just so that you have access to the material or the recording. So those are the three service models, SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. It's really important to remember these three, to remember them. It's really important because during your exam, they might ask questions on these things. They might not ask you what is SaaS or what is PaaS, but they'll probably give like scenarios or whatever, like use cases, so it's really important for you to remember these things, these three. So example of cloud computing, so you have like social networking, email. So the emails that we have, these are all like cloud computing resources. Have you ever wondered, like, you have a Gmail or like those emails, have you thought about like, am I paying for these things, right? So these are all like, because you're accessing them on the internet. Before the email, we used to write letter. I remember back in school, they were falling heavily on us to that composition and writing letters, Well, in the 21st century now, like people are using emails. Email is by far the most, like I hardly see people like using like writing letter right now physically, some people are still doing it, but these are just example here. You have the healthcare, government, so these are like institutions that are actually using cloud computing. So that's all for just a brief overview of like what cloud computing is. And so I'm gonna go right into, so we also talk about on the second week, so we covered that material that I just went over during the first week, on Saturday last week. So on Sunday, we went over IAM. So we talk about IAM, Identity and Access Management. So as you can see, I have it here already. If you don't have it here, you are not going to have it here. You can search for it. Just type IAM. So any service that you want to access on Amazon, on the platform, just type for it here. Or you can click on this one, then you can select the service that you want. So IAM is right here. So you have EC2 here. So you can also, how I'm able to get this IAM here is because I bookmark it. So if I come to the service here, and let's say I want to bookmark the S3, so I just click on the star here. And then when I click out, it's going to be here now. So that's how I put the IAM in here. So we are going to go to IAM. And basically what we are going to do, we look at the IAM. Let me see here. That's a different one. I think it's this one. Yeah, so we look at IAM. So we went over this, what's an IAM, which is identity and access management. Um, why we have to use IAM. We already talked about these things in class, but this is what I'm focusing on during this class is to look at this one, IAM user. This is where we stopped last week. So for this short video, I'm gonna go to my console and then we are gonna go create an IAM user. So we are gonna create an IAM user. Right now, as you can see, I only have one user here. So if I click on, so under here, you have on the navigation pane here, you have different, you have user group, users, role, policy, and then, so I'm gonna talk about user because that's where we stopped last week because it didn't show on the video. So that's why I decided to come do this again. Um, okay, so we're gonna just click on user. So if you click on the user, you can see that I have one user here called project_manager, right? So I'm not gonna touch that. We are just gonna create our own user. We're gonna create a user. So to create a user, just click on here, create user, and then let's give it a name. So I'm just gonna say admin. So that's the user. And then this user, what do you want to say? Provide user access to the AWS Management Console. So this is optional, but I'm going to select it because I want this user to have access to the AWS, to the Management Console. The Management Console is just like what you are seeing here. You know, when you log in, that's the Management Console. And then you have options here. Are you providing console access to a person? So if it is a person, then you have two choices here. You can specify a user in identity center, or if you want to create IAM user. So I'm going to just select the second one, IAM user. And then once you select that, so you see when this one was selected, you didn't have anything, but when you select IAM user, you will see like you have two options here. So this one is allowing you to create a login access, like access to this account. So this user, we're going to create a password for this user. But instead of we creating, so we can decide to auto-generate the password, auto-generate, we say like if when we create this user, it's going to create a password for this user. Or we can decide to say, okay, well, I want to create my own password. I want to create my own password. So this is custom, which means you create it yourself, instead of AWS creating it for you upon creation of the user. So I'm just going to say create it. I'm going to create it myself. So I'm going to use password. So if you try to log in, use this password. After this, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete this user anyway. So I'm just going to say PASSWORD 123. So don't do this. That's a weak, very, very, very weak password. So don't do that. We'll go over password policies, and then under this password here, so you see there's a condition here. It must be at least 8 characters long. Must include at least 3 of the following, just like those, like when you sign up for any website, they have these conditions. Yeah. So I'm not going to show the password, or I can show it. No, who cares? I'm going to delete it anyway. User must create. So basically, this password that you see here is just going to be a dummy one, a dummy password. So it's not going to be doing anything. It's just a placeholder. But when this user sign into this account, they are going to be prompted to change the password. to create their own password. But if we don't want that, then we can uncheck this one. But ideally, best practice is you want them to change their password. So we are going to check that. And then that's it so far. And then once you do this, if you don't want to create your own password, just click on auto-generate. It will auto-generate a password for you. And then from here, if you are you still seeing my screen, right?
Yeah, I can still see the screen.
Okay, so I just want to make sure it's recording again. Yeah. All right, so from here, if you once you get a name and fill all these fields, just click on next. So you see it's saying password is weak. The password you enter does not conform to the account's password policy. So it's a weak password. So at this point, I'm just going to say auto-generate. So I'm just going to have it to generate the password for me. So it's going to create a password. So from here, what we are going to do is, this is where you are going to attach a policy, a permission. So what this is meaning, so we have three options here. So you can either add this user to a group, which we haven't talked about, so I'm not going to talk about that right now. We are going to cover this tomorrow, actually. But last week, this is what we did. So we didn't talk about groups, so I'm not going to talk about groups right now. But you have the option to either add this user to a group. You have the option to copy the permission. If you have an existing permission, you can copy that permission. It's a copy all group membership, copy all group memberships, attach manage policies and inline policies from an existing user. So if you have for example, I have that existing user, I have that project _ manager, I can copy that whatever permission that user has, I can give that permission to this one also. But I'm not going to do that. The last option that you have is you can attach policy directly. So that's what we're going to do. So when you select this, you have this permissions show up. So whenever you see this, the permissions with this cube, in front of them, these are managed by AWS. These are not custom. These are managed by AWS. So I'm not going to create my own. I'm just going to use the custom, the AWS, the managed policy. These are called managed policies, right? So I'm going to select this. I want to give this user an administrator privilege. So which means this user is going to serve as an administrator. So once you check this, now, depending on the role and the function of this user, that's how you don't just give permission just like that. You don't just give people privilege just like that, right? You got to make sure that, okay, if this user is an administrator, then you give that user the appropriate permission. In fact, there is something that we're going to be talking about, which is called least privilege. You only least privilege. They might ask this in an exam. When I took my AWS certification exam, there was a question on that, least privilege, right? They are not going to ask you what is least privilege, right? But you always want to make sure least privilege, what it means, it just means that only give users access to resources that they are going to need for them to be able to do their job efficiently. So as an administrator, you got to give an administrator admin policy. What happens if you don't give them admin policy? If I'm an administrator and then you don't give me admin policy, but I want to create a group, I want to add, we hired someone who is new, and I'm supposed to input their informations and add them to the system. I'm not going to be able to do that because I have I don't have the right credential, the right access right. So you give policy based on the job function, based on the role of the individual, based on what you want them to do. So you can give these policies to either a user or even to other applications. So you can give EC2 admin privilege. So the EC2 is going to function just like an administrator, just like a human being. So for this demo, I'm just going to leave this admin access. So I'm going to give this user admin access, which means this user can do a lot of things. And then from there, we haven't really talked about set permission boundary. So we'll probably cover that tomorrow. So you go next. Once you do this, And then from here, you can see like whatsoever you have selected so far. So right now we have admin access, and then user change password. So we say that this user upon signing in, they should change their password. So you just look over this. They are just giving you a review of everything. So you can add a tag if you want. Tagging is really important, but you don't. It's optional, but it's really important. If you have thousands and thousands of users, that's where the tagging is going to save time. The whole purpose of cloud computing is like you want to do your job efficiently and quick, right? So we're going to create this user. So this user, so right now this user has this, this is the console password, and then they can log in into this one. So the next thing I would do probably is I'm going to log in as this user, and then we'll see what access right they have. And then the other thing also that I didn't show you guys, which I will show, is like the policy itself, how it looks like, because I did explain that during the class. I'll go over it more again. But this password, so right now the password that they created, I can say show. So this is the password that they created by default. But once I logged in, I'm gonna change this password to the password that I want this user to use. And then this is the username. So this one, it says you can view and download the user password below, or email user instruction for signing in. So if you want to email them, you have two options. You can either email them this information. So when they hire you, this is how basically they will do. They will give you like a password, and or they will email it to you, and then they instruct you like what to do. So we can do the same here. We can send the email with instructions on how to like log in and all those things. Or you can download a CSV file. So this is a CSV file. So I can download this. So I can say, so now it's in my download. So if I open this, so it's in my download. So this is how it looks like. So I have my user. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So I have my username just like what we saw earlier. Can you see this screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so just like you guys saw earlier in the user, so I have my username here. I have the password here, and then this is just the link that you can use to go to get into the console. So if I copy this, I'm just gonna go here. I'm just gonna copy this, and then I'm gonna go into incognito mode. But before I do that, I'm just gonna say return to the main page. So now you can see that this user is here. And then if we click on this user, we can see that this user has this permission admin privilege. So let me show you guys really quick while I'm on this page here. I did explain to you guys what this looks like. So this is how the policy looks like. So this is how the policy looks like. So this is the policy. So this is how the policy look like. So this policy here, this is written in JSON, as you can see, JSON, which is JavaScript object notation. So here you have the version. So this is the syntax. It has to be like this. So 2012-10-17. So it has to be like that. So the first thing that you do is like this. So this is a block. So you have the curly bracket here, has to correspond with this curly bracket. Otherwise, it will tell you that, it will give you an error. So you got to put a version, and then the statement, everything that in here is in the statement, right? So the statement will say, we have effect, which is allow. What do you want? Why effect? You can say deny here if you don't want this user to have any access. We are gonna demonstrate that tomorrow. If you don't want this user to
Mr.
have
Swery,
access, what was that?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, but you're not the one that's gonna put in all this code, right? Once you just select the administrator access, the code is already there, right?
Yes, so this one, once you select this, the code is already there for you.
Okay.
So that's why it's called manage policy, because AWS is, so if you cannot even edit this one, right? But you can create
Okay.
your own also. You can
Okay.
create your own you can create your own policy here. You can create the same policy for your own. That one is called, if you create it yourself, it's called custom policy. But it's because AWS is great, owns this, it's called managed policy because it's managed by AWS. So you have effect, which is allow. Sometimes you can see here deny. If you say deny here, which means you are denying this user access. This user will not be able to do anything. And then if you say, so on the homework I gave you guys, this one of them, I think I said you should grant them admin privilege. So if you go back here, if you go to the homework here, the assignment, so you can see that the assignment is access to EC2, access to Lambda, access to S3, full access to all AWS resources. So these are the permissions I want you to give to that user. That's what I said here. Um, so these are the permissions. So very self-explanatory anyway. So go back here. And then the action, so the action basically is what should this user do? So here is, do you allow this user to perform anything on this account? If you say yes, then you say allow. If you say no, this user, I just want them to be there, but I don't want them to be able to do anything. If that's the case for you, then you can say deny. But then the action here is what should this user, what are they to do? What kind of action are they allowed to perform? So this wildcard, this one, it means like everything. Whenever you see the wild, I already explained this, for those of you who were in the class, you already know this. This is called wildcard, this asterisk or star. It means everything. They can do anything. But that's why they are administrator, right? And then resources, what kind of resources? Is it S3, EC2, Lambda, CloudFormation, CloudForm? Like what should this user be able to do? It's everything again because they're administrator. So again, you don't want to give, that's why I was saying you don't want to give anybody just this kind of privilege because they can do anything, right? So this is just a brief overview of the policy itself. Now let's log in. I'm going to open incognito and try to log in as this user. So I'm going to open my incognito window. If you can see my window, right? You can see the incognito window. Okay. So we're gonna go to the console with that user that we created earlier. Yeah. So now it's asking us here for the username. And what was the username? It's admin. And then we are gonna go back. We're gonna go back to the console. We're gonna come back here. And then, or we go back to this CSV file and then copy this password. So this is the password, the password that they created for you when you sign up. So I'm just putting the password here. So you see if I show it's the same password, just like this one, the same password. And then I'll say sign in. So now it's gonna sign me in. So you see, instead of just signing me in, it's asking me for the old password. So I'm gonna paste the old password, but then the condition that we granted earlier, we told this user, we said, hey, upon you signing in into the account, we want you to generate a new password, to create a new password. So if you go to credentials here, yeah, so the other thing that you have to remember is you will not be able to see that password. That's why you have to download that CSV file or email it to them, because you will not be able to see it after you finish creating it. But we give a condition that this user, we prompted them to create a new password. So I'm going to create a new password. Okay, so your password needs to be at least 8 characters. At least that's what is considered to be a strong password. If it is more than, like, you have like 15, 20, that's a strong password. So for password policy, it has to be at least 8 characters for to be strong. During the when we go under the security class, we'll talk about that. So right now, this user I've logged in now as this user. So if you can see, how do I know? Now you might ask, how do I know that Daniel is not just like, faking this? So, well, how you know is if you look at the top here, so you can see admin and then the account number. So if I go back to the previous page, the master page, so this is the master account, you can see it says Cloud Skill Gateway. So you can see here. I did too much. Yeah, so if you can see at the top there, here, it says Cloud Skill Gateway. But if we come back to this user, it says here admin and then the account number. So this is an indication that we are in as this user, so this user can perform certain functions, Yeah, so this is the user now that is in there. So you can see that this user can still, because they are administrator, they can see like who is there, they have access. So you see this user is able to see like, oh, there's project manager here, because we gave them admin access, so this is how you create a user. So the assignment I gave you guys, I said you should create. Let me go back to that. So the assignment here says create 4 IAM users. The first user is going to be called dev, and then the second user is going to be called UAT. The third one is going to be called test, and then the last one will be called QA. And then these are the access. So you are going to give access to EC2, access to Lambda, access to S3, and then add full access. So the full access is just the admin. Make one of the user admin. I specified it here. So here you can see I give instruction here. There are instruction here on how to go about to do this. I don't know, this thing keep moving up. Anyway, so yeah, so there are instructions here on how to go about to do this, So the user, for example, enter dev as the username, under select search for and select policy, click on admin. So I just gave instruction here, made it very easy. I'm not trying to trick anybody here. I want you to understand this, so I'm not going to trick you. How would I know that you actually did this homework? These are the criteria for submission. So once you finish, you say take a screenshot or a snapshot, or just do like a screenshot of like the IAM dashboard. So what I mean by the IAM dashboard, so take a screenshot of this, not that one. So take a screenshot of, right now, I can see that I have two users here. I have admin and I have project_manager. So I want you to, so for you, I should be able to see four users here, or five if you were following through the class last week. But if you didn't follow through the class, like you were not doing it with me, then I should see four users here. If you were following, I should see five users. If you were not in the class, you didn't follow during the class, then I should see four users here. And that four users should correspond to what we are doing here. And then take a screenshot of the permissions attached to each user. So taking a screenshot, what I mean by that is, so let's say you go into this admin. So I want you to take a screenshot. I have to be able to see this permission, this policy. So that's what I mean by to take a screenshot of for each user. Upload the screenshot to the assignment. So you need to upload it here. On your student view, it should allow you to upload things. So you should upload that here, and then I'll be able to see that. Because tomorrow I'm going to be asking you guys to share your screen, and then you're going to walk me through like what you did. So I think what else? What else do we need to? I think this is all. Oh, so the one more thing. The thing that we were able to give access, I don't know if we did give access key and secret key. So here, as you can see, this user does not have any like credentials, like in terms of like access, and I'm gonna go over that tomorrow. Don't worry about this one. But we need this, the user creation is not complete yet. It's only complete if you give this user access key and secret key. The access key and secret key will allow this user to be able to communicate with other resources within the AWS or outside of the AWS. Let's say you want to use CloudFormation, or let's say not CloudFormation, Terraform. If you want to use Terraform to provision your resources, you are going to need this access key and secret key. This user must have access key and secret key. Otherwise, you will not be able to like connect. So that's what we haven't created this. So I'm going to wait tomorrow. Or actually, while I'm here now, I'm going to create it. So to create this one, so you go back to, so if you go to security credentials here, you click on security credential. Let me maximize this a little bit. So click on security credentials. So under security credentials, you will see like different things here. You see multi-factor authenticator. So we also did this multi-factor authentication. And that one, I think, yeah, so maybe I will review that again because it's probably did not show on the video. So this, so here you can assign MFA device to this user. You can SSH public key for code commit. You can do that. But what we are really interested in is access key. So right now it says 0. So let's create one. So we just click on create access key. And then you have all these options here. Command line in interface, which is CLI. Someone asked me the other day, what is CLI? It's just command line interface. I will go over that. Don't worry about it. Local code, application running on Amazon Web Services. So really, if this user is like going to be accessing application, let's say like Jenkins, Kubernetes, then you want to do like third-party services, right? That's the one I'm after. I'm just going to select anyone. So I'm going to select like CLI here. So right now, when I select CLI, it's an alternative recommended. You have Cloud Shell, AWS CLI V2 version 2. So I'm just going to say acknowledge, I understand, and then I'm going to say create. Description, I'm not going to give any description, but you can give any description. You can say this access key is for to access whatever, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to say create access key. So now it has created for me two keys. So this one you can see it openly, which is the access key. But by default, they will not show you this one. Yeah. So it's right here. Again, I'm going to delete this user immediately after this one. But this is the secret key. So you need these two information, which you have already created. Really simple to create. So again, two things. You can either copy this and put it on a clipboard or somewhere because you're going to need it, or you can download the CSV file here, right? But you just have to remember, if you don't download it or if you don't copy it and paste it somewhere, once you click done, you will not be able to see this again. Again, I'm emphasizing this. You must download this or you copy this somewhere. You click on here, copy that, click on this, copy this, and paste it somewhere. Because once I click done, which I'm going to do, I'm not going to download this. When I click done, now this user have a secret key. So you can see it here. You can see the access key, which is active, but you cannot see this the secret key. So that one you will not see it forever. Now, if you don't download that and you don't copy this somewhere before you click done, the only way you can do is to delete this again, revoke this, and then create another one because you will not be able to see this again. So that's why I'm emphasizing. Make sure you either download the CSV file or you copy it somewhere. All right. So that was all about the user creation. So I want to see tomorrow we'll go over the assignment and I will see what you guys did. Then the other thing that we did was multi-factor authentication. So what is multi-factor authentication? Multi-factor authentication is just basically that you need to have something physically, something physical. So just like when you have your debit card, when you go to Costco or your favorite store, even if you memorize the thing in your head, your card number, they are still going to want you to provide something physical. That's why you have a card. So you have to swipe because it's something physical, something that you have at hand, right? And so the same thing also like with MFA, that's why it's called multi-factor authentication. So which means it's not just one. So when you log in, when you log out of this so if I'm going to log out of this, I'm going to log out of this. I'm going to log out. I have already configured multi-factor authenticator on this particular account. So if I log in again, it's going to ask me not just for my password. It will ask for something else other than my password. So it will ask you for my password. So if I say login as a root user, so I ask me for my email. So you see what is happening here. So it's a root user. Ask me for my email, and then I put in my email, and then it asks me for my password, and then I put in my password. Again, it's because I save it on my computer. And then when I sign in, it asks me for another thing again. So usually it can ask you for a code. If you use Authenticator, it can ask you for a code. So you can use Google Authenticator or you can just use Authenticator app. So if you search online, if you say, so let me do this first. So for me, my computer, I have a biometric. So I'm going to use my biometric to log in. So that biometric, so once I use my biometric, you see, it's going to log me into the account. So that is MFA, multi-factor authenticator. So which means it's not just like you put in your email address and your password. They are going to need for you to prove that you are, who you say you are, for me to prove that, oh, I'm logging in as Cloud Skill Gateway, I'm authentic, I'm real. So you talk about the triple A, right? Authentication, right? I'll go over that. I'm not going to beat Graham. We'll go over that during the security class. But they will ask you have to have something physical. So for me, it's my biometric. For you, it might be a code. So if depending on how you configure this, so if you go say, if I spell that right. So if you say image, I'm just going to show images here. So you have all of this. So like I have this one here, this authenticator app. So you can download this on your thing, and then it's gonna prompt you to put a password, and then you connect this with AWS. That's how you sign up. Again, guys, I've gone over this for those who were in the class. Um, if so, you have Microsoft Authenticator. If you were not in the class, maybe tomorrow we'll go over it again. I'll have someone demonstrate it. Someone who have not signed up, who does not have the MFA right now. But this, you can download one of these apps, either Google Authenticator or just like Microsoft Authenticator. You can do all those things. Um, so that's just a high level of like I wanted to go over this just so that you guys are getting the best of service. Again, I'm sorry for that technical issues that happened. I think I figured out why it happened. So hopefully it's not going to happen again. I'll rectify that. All right, guys. So that was all today for this session. I hope to see you all tomorrow. Yeah.